You know that exact feeling when you just hit a wall? That awful moment where a failure really stings? Maybe it's a bad grade, a painful rejection, or some massive life setback that, in the moment, just feels like absolutely pointless suffering. I mean, we've all been there, right? It is a completely universal experience. But what if we completely flipped the script? What if that exact pain you're feeling right now wasn't a barrier at all, but literally the raw material for your greatest strength? Today, we are taking a really close look at a deeply resonant phrase that's been catching fire and inspiring thousands of people online. Built by pain, driven by purpose.
So welcome to This Explainer. I am incredibly excited to guide you through this today. We are going to take this viral motivational concept, which is often dubbed the warrior mindset, and we're going to elevate it. We're breaking it all down from a catchy internet soundbite into a profound, actionable psychological framework. Because whether you're a student, a teacher, an athlete, or just someone navigating a particularly tough season of life right now, This Explainer is going to show you exactly how to transform your struggles into highly focused momentum.
Here is our quick roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with the warrior mindset, then look at being built by pain, followed by driven by purpose. Then we'll cover applications in education, and finally, 4 steps to progress. Let's dive in.
Part 1, the warrior mindset, setting the stage.
So the whole foundation of our explainer today comes from those viral warrior motivation messages, specifically popularized by channels like peak.rise.motivation. Now, if you check out their content, you'll see they lean really heavily into historical samurai and warrior themes. You know, legendary figures like Kenshin or Miyamoto. But the core message here, it's not about literally fighting with swords, which, hey, is good news for our daily commute, right? It's actually about naming 2 deeply linked truths, that adversity shapes character, and that a clear purpose channels that shape strength toward meaningful action. This is a mindset tailor-made for anyone facing modern-day adversity. It is all about everyday dominance over fear and excuses. Moving right along to part 2, built by pain, the forge of resilience. Okay, built by pain. This is defined as the process where difficult experiences, failures, and everyday struggles actively form essential resilience. And honestly, I think this is incredibly validating. When you are right in the middle of a struggle, it genuinely feels like the pressure is just breaking you down. But this framework insists on a radically different view. It says your adversity is actively shaping your character. The pain is not a sign of defeat. It's the very mechanism of your growth. Think of these painful challenges as an actual forge. They literally force the development of deep discipline, simply because you have to endure. They construct the raw materials of your future capabilities by building a solid foundation of skills, because navigating difficulty requires you to learn. And finally, they yield an entirely new perspective. Pain acts as the forge, and you are the steel being shaped. Which brings us perfectly to part 3. Driven by purpose, directing your effort. This dynamic right here is absolutely crucial. While being built by pain provides you with all that raw resilience, your skills, and your discipline, being driven by purpose is the vital ingredient that adds direction, effort, and tangible progress. It's the difference between raw endurance and actual forward momentum. It completely highlights the vast difference between simply possessing unguided resilience versus having the razor-sharp purpose necessary to drive actual progress. Because here's the thing, resilience alone, it just isn't enough. You could be the toughest person in the room. You could be entirely capable of taking endless hits from life without ever giving up. But endurance without a clear goal, well, that just makes you a very durable person walking on a treadmill to nowhere. You need a destination. You need a why. And that is exactly where purpose steps in. Purpose is how you take all of that shaped strength we talked about and channel it into meaningful action. It becomes the roaring engine for your pain. The source material outlines that purpose generally falls into a few key areas: learning a complex new topic, teaching and mentoring the next generation, competing at the absolute highest level of your field, or serving your community. Whatever it is for you, it directs your effort. It finally gives your struggle a reason to exist. Let's bring this down to earth. Part 4, applications in education, practical applications. What's really fascinating is how this mindset applies distinctly to both sides of the classroom. If you're a learner, the pain of setbacks, like getting a low grade, facing a harsh rejection, or just struggling to grasp a really hard topic, completely changes. It goes from being this demoralizing defeat to becoming active fuel, especially when you pair it with a goal, like finally passing that course or advancing your career. And on the flip side, for educators and mentors, Recognizing a student's struggle and helping them connect that grueling effort to a larger purpose, that directly increases their motivation and their retention.
So this brings us to a massively important universal truth. Reframing pain as construction turns suffering into an investment. Seriously, think about the immense power of that word swap. When we consciously change our internal vocabulary from suffering to construction, we are acknowledging that the pain is actually building something valuable. It's an investment that, when combined with your purpose, yields absolutely incredible growth.
All right, the final piece of the puzzle, part 5, 4 steps to progress, the execution phase. The source material gives us exactly 4 clear, chronological steps to apply this entire idea. It's basically a perfect how-to guide for your daily life. The steps are 1. Acknowledge, 2. Define, 3. Map, and 4. Reflect. Let's break them down. First up, acknowledge. You must literally name the pain points that have shaped you. Don't avoid them. Don't pretend they didn't hurt. Own them. Next is define. Set a concrete, meaningful goal deeply tied to your personal values. What you're doing here is taking that pain you just acknowledged and attaching it to a highly specific, tangible target. Third, you map it out. And I'm talking about consistent daily micro steps. That is what actually turns your raw endurance into tangible progress. You can't just think about it. You literally have to step forward every single day. And finally, fourth, reflect. Listen, you will hit inevitable future setbacks. That is a 100% guarantee. But you have to reframe those setbacks merely as data. Actually, that's the secret right there. They aren't defeats. They are just feedback to help you adjust your strategy. Because when you take your past pain and you use it as your foundation, and you let your future purpose act as your engine, while effort becomes direction and struggle becomes progress. This beautifully illustrates the absolute magic that happens when pain and purpose perfectly align. You stop spinning your wheels and you start moving forward. So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself, which challenge has built you the most, and what purpose will you drive it toward? Take a few moments right now, reflect on your own warrior mindset, and challenge yourself to take just one concrete step today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next explainer. Keep building.